What's up, Zoxaskun? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Now, we're going to be getting into a character overview of the Masoi Blade Tsutomu. This is definitely a very, very potent character and brings a lot of value that a lot of players may not have realized, even from the beta, that this character is able to do. So when we actually are looking at what this character can do, looking at the skill 1, the Drifting Clouds, the Martial Soul Searching Tsutomu deals 240% damage to a single enemy, and with his unique ability Insight, attacks on targets with debuffs guarantee crit hits. The reason why this is so insane is because what this does is it's actually lowering your gear requirement, or stat requirement, I should say. And with that being the case, it makes it to where it's ensuring that you can basically crit as long as there's a debuff. And so that makes it to where investment in attack and crit damage can be a lot higher because you have this effect in effect. So then you also have the skill 2, the Vanishing Shade. So training is never easy. Tsutomu deals 2 hits of 160% damage to a single enemy, with each hit having a 60% chance to steal 1 random buff or buffs from the target. Now, of course, with this, being able to steal a buff but also being able to deal damage is not really that common. So this already is giving even more value to characters like Tsutomu, because now you're going to be able to help further reduce and giving yourself a more optimal chance to make your skill 3, for example, more effective. So when we're looking at the skill 3, the Lunar Blitz, the time for martial testing has come. Dojo Master Tsutomu deals 2 hits of 140% damage to a single enemy, and if the last hit crits, it has a 100% chance to inflict a 2-turn of anti-heal and block. So remember, anti-heal makes it to where the opponent cannot receive any healing, and block makes it to where the target cannot gain any buffs. So this is something that really is going to be super, super insane for not only PvP when you're single target isolating, but this is also going to be amazing against bosses, and where in most cases you need high concentrated amounts of damage. And some you also need gimmicks like this, specifically cough, cough, anti-heal, and block, which only one other character in the game can do that combination, and that's Heinrich. So this already is putting this guy miles ahead of certain characters when it comes down to being able to fulfill certain requirements. As far as module recommendations, I would definitely say working your way in the early game, you're going to have sets like the Onslaught, which is pretty straightforward, a 45% attack increase on a 12 matrix bonus. You're also going to have ones, for example, the Harvest set, which is extremely good on an 8 matrix bonus, attack increase of 10%. And when attacking, if the target's HP is above 50%, additionally ignores 30% of their defense. You're also going to have sets that are going to come into play, which is going to be the Fury on an 8 matrix bonus, which gives an attack increase of 10%. And when an Animus lands a crit, the damage result of that segment is increased by an additional 12%. You're also going to have ones like Keen Eye on a 12 matrix bonus is going to give you a crit damage increase of 18%. And for the first 3 instances of damage dealt by this Animus during the turn, they are increased by 25%, 15%, and 5% respectively. And then when you get to the point of Cataclysm, which is endgame, you're going to have ones like Fury Edge, which gives a crit rate increase of 12% and a crit damage increase of 20%. Now, when we're looking at values that you want to aim for as far as your main and substats, I would definitely say attack bonus, crit damage, and crit rate are going to be your easy go-tos. But as you start to work in and really honestly playing into the gimmick of Insight that Tsutomu has uniquely, you definitely want to alternate this into crit damage, and attack, or crit damage, attack. Just really depends on how subs end up looking. As far as sub stats and sub values that you want to go for, I would definitely recommend going for crit rate, crit damage, and attack. And then, of course, effect accuracy is going to be really big. You can also mix in some speed just to kind of tune them properly so you can have them going in a certain order, but there's not really much else that you would need at that point. Now, as far as skill prioritization, unlike a lot of characters, Tsutomu's skill 1 is actually going to be starting it off, where the first node is going to be increasing the damage multiplier to 220%. The second node is going to increase the crit rate to 80%. The third node is going to further increase the damage multiplier to 240%. And then the final one is going to make it to where attacks on targets with debuffs guarantee a crit hit. Then, of course, going to the third skill on the first node is going to increase the damage multiplier to 220%. The second one is going to be increasing the chances of inflicting anti-heal and block to 80%. The third one is going to further increase the damage multiplier to 240%. And the last node is going to further increase the chances of inflicting anti-heal and block to 100%. And then lastly, you have the skill 2, which is going to be increasing the damage multiplier to 150%. Then also on the second node, increasing the chances of the buff steal to 60%. The third node will further increase the damage multiplier to 160%. And then the last node will further reduce the skill cooldown by 1 turn. As far as shell recommendations, I would definitely say in the early game, you're going to have ones like Jox, which is going to be giving you the Agent Lizard, Buddha Panda, Twilight Knight, Crossroads, White Fang, Count, Law of Silence. This basically makes it to where when a character goes into void state, they cannot be targeted singly. And this means, yes, they can still be hit by AoEs, but a person cannot single them out and try to target them. So this could work extremely well for different scenarios in PvP. Now, of course, getting into our infamous pros and cons, when we're actually looking at some of the pros with Tsutomu, I think the biggest ones is that he has the heal block and the buff block. This is something that can actually make him very essential for a must-in slot for things like Terramatan, and even is just going to make him a nuisance when we're talking about being able to mitigate some of the stronger types of animuses in the game. And I think the other thing that also makes him extremely potent is the fact that he's able to be built in a unique way where he can actually emphasize other values that are going to scale his damage so much higher, because he doesn't really need to invest into crit rate nearly as much unless you're in a scenario where there are no debuffs that can be landed, which I highly doubt that is really going to ever be the case on average. Now, when we're actually looking at cons, I think the biggest con is just simply that Tsutomu is a pure glass cannon. He is a DPS in the truest form, and so you have to safeguard him as such. So making sure that he's on a composition that actually he can play into and that is protecting him is going to be essential. Otherwise, this could be a character that's on the field one moment and gone the next. So with that being said, that's basically going to be that for the Musou Blade Tsutomu. I hope that this was able to give you more insight on how this character operates and maybe how you can implement this character into your compositions. So with that, guys, definitely let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing Etheria Restart content. But that's going to be that with this one, guys. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.